Hi, this is Prem, and this is Carly, and we're from Tribe. And tonight I feel moved to really continue on from a topic I was talking about a couple of days ago, which was about how when we're in relationship with someone, there can be a tendency over time that we start to notice or notice less details about the other person. Do you notice, like, when you're in a relationship, there's a way that when you first start the relationship, everything feels really new and everything they do is amazing, and oh, you like that brand of toothpaste, so do I, and oh my god, you read that book, me too, and what, you went to that country as well, so did I, and you like going to that restaurant, me too, oh my god, you like that meditation styles, I've been doing it for years. There's like all of...
What? You like geeking out on psychology? Me too!
We're still high-fiving each other about that after a year. But yeah, like there's a way that when we first meet someone, there's a lot of newness. And so there's a lot of times where we actually point to our similarities. And then over time, what can happen is we start to notice difference more than similarity. And that can at times pose to our subconscious as threat, yeah? So then when that happens, then we can start to be more critical, whereas when we first got together, we can be telling each other how great we are. So if you relate to this, I'm going to give you a little bit of an insight as to why that happens at a biological level. So the brain, the memory, to organize information starts to cluster data, so that it can make space for new data. So when I meet Carly for the first time, I notice lots of things about him. The way he speaks, the types of language that he uses. I notice how he picks things up. I notice the speed that he walks at. I notice what kinds of food he likes. I notice the way that he looks at me when he approaches me. I notice the way that he seems when he feels tired or seems tired to me. These are all things that are very, very new details to me. Then after a period of time, my brain starts to go, meh, already know that, already know that. And so it starts to cluster information together so that there's space for my memory for other things that are happening in my world. So what that means then is that I'm more likely to miss details or data, because my brain can automatically send it to a particular cluster and assume that it already knows. And this is where assumption comes from. So Carly looks up, then down, then up, and I've seen him do that 20 times before. Not literally, but yes, okay. And I go, oh, he's not listening to me. So I make an assumption about that because I've seen that 20 times before, and 7 of those times he wasn't listening, and so my brain's gone, right, he's not listening. I make an assumption. I don't even realize that's the assumption I'm making. It's just automatic. I have a response to it, blah, blah, blah. So this is actually, it's actually unavoidable, to be honest with you. This clustering in the brain for our memory system is always going to happen. So there's a way that the brain actually works against us in terms of continuing to really see each other, which calls for the need to actually practice really seeing each other so that we can start to reverse what's actually automatically happening. So in the spirit of that, Carly and I are practicing more, and it's already part of our relationship to really practice appreciation. And we are wanting to teach people how to do that well as well. So we're going to be doing more of that, basically. Anything that you want to add?
Well, I love that what you're saying here, and to me it just really points to the importance of continually looking with fresh eyes, right? You know, like, it's like, I think so easily to kind of basically get caught in like the labels and judgments that we've made of other people. And I don't think it's just about people. I actually think it's like to do with anything that we're in relationship with, you know, in our lives. You know, it's like, even I think about like a tree, you know, like it's so easy for me to say that's a tree rather than actually seeing and like experiencing the bark and the roots and the movement and actually being in relationship with the thing rather than my labeling of the thing, you know?
I have a great example. Like this dress I just bought today, and I really, really love it, so much so that I put it on as soon as I bought it. And like, I will not put it on the floor tonight. That will be for sure. Like, I'll hang it up. I reckon I'll hang it up for like the next 10 times, maybe less, that I wear it. And then no doubt I will notice it at some point that it's like somewhere kind of scrunched up, and I will wonder, how did that happen? And it's because of what you just talked about.
Yeah, totally. And I think it's particularly sad when it's another human being, and another human being that we really love, you know, like that we kind of, all of a sudden, we're not actually in relationship with them. We're just in relationship with how we've kind of labeled them in our mind, how we've clustered them.
Yeah.
And then I referenced this bit of research last night by John Gottman, and I want to keep repeating this because I think it's a really important piece of research. And he basically came up with this, the importance of this 5-to-1 ratio of positive to negative interactions in relationship. And to me, it speaks to the same thing here, right? Because it's if I'm particularly noticing how somebody is impacting me, the details of it, such that I'm not taking them for granted. I'm not now just kind of, cool, Prem's always there, or whatever it is. I'm actually continually speaking that thing of, I appreciate this about you, and this is how you've impacted me, and I see this in you. So I'm like, it's, becomes a practice of actually speaking the newness and constantly seeing that the novelty of the relationship, and not just seeing it, but appreciating it and kind of savoring it,
Yeah. I loved how his research pointed to that he could tell in a matter of seconds, under a minute, how long. It was under a minute, right?
Oh, well, the typical figure that's quoted is within 15 minutes of watching a couple, he can predict whether they'll stay together with 90% accuracy, which is like amazing, phenomenal.
Yes.
Yeah.
Based upon the ratio of positive to negative communication, right?
That's it. Yeah. There's subtlety in that, but that's basically it. Yes. Yeah.
Cool. The last thing I think is, like, I don't think I love you is enough, actually. I don't think just saying to somebody that I love you is actually sufficient to really have them seen and known. I've met plenty of people who tell me love is not enough, actually. Love is not enough to keep us together. I want to feel seen. I want to feel known. I want to feel understood. That he tells me or she tells me that he or she loves me, it's not enough anymore. I actually want to feel like they're interested in me and they really notice me. And so I think it's, amongst many of the other things that we talk about, I think it's like seriously high value to learn and get good at noticing, seeing, and then knowing how to communicate that to someone such that they're left feeling touched, moved, inspired, seen, understood, i.e. loved. Yeah. We're going to do a short practice of what that might look like. And maybe how about we do 3 each? Because I'm aware of our time.
Right.
Yeah? We'll do 3 each, and then we'll finish up. Beautiful.
Something I'm appreciating about you at the moment is how supported I feel by you, and just like how I went out today to do a coaching session and I came back, and just like how the house felt really good, and just seeing you there, I felt really excited to see you, and I just like having you there, and in a way that has a sense of like ease and beauty added to my world, and I feel really touched by that.
Thank you. Can I go next?
Yeah.
Something that's alive for me in this moment to kind of share how it touched me is last night when we were watching the couples therapy DVD. And there was this moment where you reached over and you started stroking my hand. And it was the moment where the therapist was getting the world of what it was like for the woman. And I think like we kind of cast ourselves and like perhaps our particular like type as actually this particular can be as this particular couple might be at times in their male-female relationship. And the moment when you took my hand and you started stroking it really subtly and gently, I had that mean that it was like you were acknowledging what this woman was sharing about her reality and the therapist validating that. And it was like, it seemed as if you were acknowledging in that moment that that you could see that might be my reality sometimes. And that it was something about reaching out and that it can be hard. And I felt in that moment like you got me at a deeper level, and that you accepted me and that you were willing to reach out to me. And I felt in that moment like something in me could rest, knowing that it's okay for me to find it hard sometimes to do that, and that you love me anyway.
Thank you. Hearing that, I'm present to a sense of like deepening in our connection, and just like more sense of security and trust. You know, like I'm almost like hearing it from you, but also I feel it, and like what you're saying is like an example of it. Yeah. Something I appreciate about you is how you engage with my kids, and how this morning you sat there and patiently like teased out where there was conflict between them and heard their different points of view and had them feel heard and had them feel validated, such that they were like we're both right and not neither of them were wrong. It was like okay for them each to have their own point of view, and just really appreciated the patience of that, and how much I think that actually makes a difference to them. And then how it went from that to like finishing their book week costumes like really fast because running late, and just just loved your kind of just going with what needs to be done in a sense, you know, with love and grace.
Thank you. Hearing that, I notice how like I want to be seen in that, because it's a really high value for me, that children in my sphere are safe. And so thank you for saying that, because that feels important to me, that that's how it is. It's important that that's how it is for me.
I feel like it's just yay, particularly from my little inner one. I'm like, yes, my inner child is just like, yes, I've got an advocate. So someone can see me.
Something that I appreciate in this moment was today when you came home, and well, firstly you rang me pretty much right after you finished work, and I made up that I was important because you rang me right after you finished. And then when you came home and you sat down and you were like, oh, I feel excited to see you. You know, like with my whole thing about men and work and feeling unseen sometimes because they get really busy with that whole story that I have, something got like, I felt safe because it had me get about you, that you care about me, and that it's like, yes, you do your work, but it's like, I'm really important. And, you know, it's like, that you share with me, that you feel excited to see me, has me feel like your innocence and, you know, your desire to let me know that you want to be close to me, that's really important to you to let me know that. And I really appreciate that about you. It's like a type of generosity is how I perceive it. Yeah. Like you want to pour love onto me. Yeah.
Yeah, that all fits. Yeah.
Yeah.
And you do want to be close to you and share love. Yeah. Something I'm appreciating about you is it's like your desire for things to be good, you know, for like spaces to look good and like just setting up the backdrop for what we're doing right now. And sometimes I'm a little bit frustrated because I'm like, let's just do the thing, you know. But actually, like, I have a lot of appreciation for it because I'm aware of like actually the value you have in passing that, you know, like and creating like the giving of that, you know, that it kind of feels good to be in that, and I'm aware that, you know, I receive that. Yeah, and that the people around you generally do. You kind of get to be in good spaces because of your attention there. Thank you for that.
Yes.
Yeah.
Something that I appreciate about you is the way that I notice you wanting to try and get other people's worlds. Like, even when you're triggered with someone, like I see you, like in our team, for example, like I can see the way that you want to like try and understand what's going on for each person, and I see the way your heart hurts when people are hurting. You know, I can actually, it's like I can feel it. I can feel you feeling pain when there's pain. And even like now when I look in your eyes, there's like a wateriness to them. And I appreciate that about you because I learn from you in that. I learn to like slow down and soften and feel into the sweetness of connections. And I'm grateful for that. It seems pretty unique to me.
Thank you for saying that. I feel like something that's important to me is being seen and acknowledged there. And I'm present also to some of my own journey around that. I've also learned, like, needing to just like learn to let go a little bit sometimes. You know, just can't kind of like, I don't know, like have people not feel pain or something like that. You know? But I can just have compassion and be in surrender as well. So,
Thank you. Oh, high on intimacies.
I feel pretty shy with all those things that we just shared. I feel vulnerable for sure. And I feel kind of a bit gushy and yeah.
I feel shy and giggly.
Yeah.
Cool.
Cool.
All right, guys. So, I would love to, as a like experiment, to see if you have a partner or parent or child or friend who you think that recently there's probably not been a 5-to-1 ratio of positive to negative interaction on a daily basis, to see if you can up it, like actually like have it as a challenge, see if you can up it to like sharing with that person, so that they feel more loved and more lubrication in the connection.
Nice. Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, like one of the things I think about here is how, you know, appreciation is like a practice. It's like, you know, it's like appreciation is always available if we just sit down and put our attention on it. You know, like I didn't have these things in advance. I just sat here and, okay, what am I appreciating? What have I felt impacted by? What's present for me? You know, and I think actually bringing that practice in consciously and choosing to kind of it be something that we habituate our attention to, so that we just like start doing that and sharing that with people, and then people are touched by it, you know, and it's something that's become kind of quite common in my circle of friends, particularly as part of birthdays, to kind of give appreciation circles, but generally, you know, like, and it's like, to me, actually one of the most beautiful gifts that we can give each other, you know, and it's so simple. It doesn't really take that much to give. You know? So
I think giving it with presence is important. I think giving it with presence, you know, if I was to say kind of like ways to improve how we communicate appreciation, I think a great thing to do is to imagine what is that person's value system? What would they want to be noticed for? You know, it's kind of easier to look through our own value system. But, you know, like I think of, say, a parent who really values their child doing well at school, but what if the child's value system is not actually about academic marks, but it's like about being really great at sport, or it's about like how well they do friendships and how much they're a leader amongst their friends or anything like that. Yeah. And so like trying to imagine what that person's value system might be and what do they want to be seen for, and then speaking about a moment when it happened, so that you can both come back to that moment. I find that can really kind of have something really beautiful open up, and it has that person really go back into that moment and start to really feel how they might have impacted you, and then also sharing the actual impact. So how did it impact you? How did you feel?
Nice.
Yeah.
I think there's lots of threads there. I'm aware of the time.
Yes.
But the one final thing I do want to say there is just like, I love what you said about the value system, because in a way, then it's like actually appreciating who this person is. You know? Like just seeing that those are the things that they value, you know? They're the things that they feel lit up by, and to appreciate the things that they feel lit up by is to actually appreciate who they are, you know?
Yes.
Like, yeah.
You did that with all of mine.
Sweet.
Yeah. Okay. Thanks, guys. Thanks for watching.
Thank you.
Bye.